You probably think canned foods are safe, because they're inexpensive, convenient, and always there when you need them. But what if I told you that some cans are carrying risks that could hurt your heart, kidneys, or memory without you ever knowing it? BPA, heavy metals, and even microorganisms that grow when stored for too long can be found in those beautiful tiny tins. Everyone is at risk, but seniors, especially those who are already sick, are at even more risk. Today, we're going to talk about 7 canned foods you should never eat. Don't worry though, I'll also tell you about 2 tinned foods that are safe. But first, let's talk about one of the most harmful and misleading of them all. Vienna sausages come in at number 7. The strong metallic smell, the slimy jellied soup, and the pallid tiny links that almost fall apart when you bite them are all things you can smell as soon as you open the tab. For some folks it's like a can of memories from their youth. But for people over 45, it's not a snack, it's more like a health trap. No one tells you this on the label. A single small can may contain anything from 700 to over 1,000 milligrams of sodium. If you have high blood pressure, that's up to 3/4 of what the American Heart Association says you should eat in a day. And let's be honest, no one eats just half a can. Most people eat the whole sandwich, maybe with crackers, and think they've had a quick lunch. But for older people, especially those who use blood pressure or kidney drugs, that sodium bomb is like taking the rug out from under your heart and kidneys. Your blood pressure goes up, and your fluids build up. All of a sudden, your medicine has to work twice as hard just to keep you stable. Don't believe the labels that say reduced sodium. Those still have 700 milligrams or more in them. The FDA just says that corporations have to trim 25% from the original form. This doesn't guarantee it's safe. Some versions even use potassium chloride instead of salt, which seems safe until you find out that it can cause dangerous cardiac rhythm problems in those with kidney disease or who take common drugs like lisinopril or spironolactone. In fact, the National Kidney Foundation says not to do it. Imagine that you think you're making a beneficial change, but it ends up messing up your heart. But that's not the end of the threat. Vienna sausages are a type of low-acid canned food. They rely on high-heat sterilization and a perfect seal to keep botulism out. The CDC says that botulinum toxin is invisible, tasteless, and deadly, so if that barrier breaks, you won't be able to see, smell, or taste it. Do you remember the huge recall in 2023 of more than 2 million pounds of canned meat, such armor Vienna sausages? The flaws in the packaging made it possible for contamination to happen. The can itself raises problems, even when the seal is tight. Most of them have plastic linings on the inside, which often include BPA or its so-called safer alternatives in them. Regulators still haven't fully evaluated these. In 2023, Europe cut the acceptable amount of BPA exposure to almost nothing. In the meantime, the FDA in the US still doesn't care. It's important to pay attention to that uncertainty if you've had hormone-sensitive malignancies, diabetes, or trouble getting pregnant. And we shouldn't forget about the chemicals that are in the meat itself. Nitrites keep the sausages pink and help stop but they also make nitrosamines, which the World Health Organization says are a known cause of cancer. Add in phosphate additives, which silently stress out old kidneys and arteries, and you've got a can full of hidden dangers that disappear in minutes. Yes, Vienna sausages are soft, simple to chew, and go down swiftly. But so does scrambled eggs with spinach or tuna mixed with beans. What's the difference? Those foods don't put your health at risk. You can get protein from those other foods without hurting your blood pressure or putting too much stress on your kidneys. But what about Vienna sausages? They aren't just snacks with salt. They are small bombs of sodium, nitrites, additives, and chemicals used in packaging that attack the weak points of an aging body. The can may seem little, but the effects are anything but. If it sounded nasty, get ready. The next can on our list hisses like the ocean when you open it. Canned tuna comes in at number 6. The lid bends, the brine splashes, and the familiar fishy wave comes forth. For some, it's a trip down memory lane, lunchboxes, college lunches, or cheap evenings. It seems good, safe, and like a trusty protein that has helped us through tough times. But here's the problem, you might not be able to trust that. The first sign of trouble. Mercury, light tuna, which is mainly skipjack, has a lot less than albacore white tuna. Albacore can really have almost 3 times as much mercury. You might think that's just trivia. But mercury doesn't just go through your body, it builds up in your kidneys and brain over time without you knowing it. Younger bodies might not care, But for someone in their 50s or 60s who is already taking blood pressure pills or dealing with kidney problems, that mercury is like poison that slowly drips down. You won't be able to notice the damage today. You'll see it years later when your brain gets foggy, your hands start to shake, and your kidneys have trouble keeping up. And mercury isn't the only thing that could be dangerous. It's not only about what the fish has on it, it's also about what happens to it after you catch it. Bacteria turn the natural histidine in tuna into histamine if it stays on the dock for too long. You can't cook, freeze, or can histamine once it occurs. It stays locked in. That means you can open a can, prepare your tuna sandwich, and an hour later you could be red, sweaty, itchy, and have a fast heartbeat. It feels like an allergic response, or even worse, a heart attack. But it's really poison, and it came from a can of tuna that you thought was harmless. Botulism is the next thing that kills you in silence. Yes, it's rare, but it's terrible. Botulism toxin doesn't smell, taste, or give any warning. One small mistake at the manufacturing might turn a can you believed was clean into a sealed vial of paralysis. Remember the 2025 recall when Costco, Trader Joe's, and H-E-B all withdrew a lot of tuna brands off the shelves because the lids were broken? That's how close contamination can go to your kitchen. The liner of the can itself raises problems, even when the seal is flawless. You know those brilliant BPA-free signs. Sounds good, right? But here's the truth. Europe just made the safe daily level of BPA almost nil. The FDA in the US, on the other hand, hasn't done anything yet. And what about the replacements like BPS and BPF? Scientists are saying that these could be just as deadly. Those letters are not a promise for anyone with diabetes, a history of prostate cancer, or hormone-related problems. They are a bet. And we can't forget about the salt trap. One drained can of tuna in water has a few hundred milligrams of salt. Flavored ones go even higher. And what about those cans with less salt? Some people use potassium chloride instead of salt, which can dangerously change the chemistry of the blood for older people with kidney difficulties or heart drugs. Picture preparing one tuna melt, and then your heart starts beating all over the place. If you look even closer at the label, you'll discover the fine print: soy broth, stabilizers, and pyrophosphates, additives that your doctor wishes you weren't adding to your already stiff arteries, exhausted kidneys, and medicine cabinet full of medicines. Yes, tuna still provides omega-3s, still has protein, and still seems like a safe food to have in the cupboard. But the trip from the ocean to the factory to the can is full of weak spots, like mercury that builds up, histamine that may kill you in a day, and packing chemicals that mess with your hormones. And if you thought canned tuna was the last surprise, just wait until you see what's inside a can that seems fairly innocent but is actually quite dangerous. You might be used to the smell of canned tuna, but the risks inside that can are not. And if fish can turn into a science experiment in your cupboard, just wait till you see what's hiding in a can of soup. Canned soup comes in at number 5. People say it's the best comfort meal because it's quick, affordable, and great when you don't feel like cooking. But for older bodies, that comfortable bowl of chicken noodle or tomato isn't comforting at all. It's a Trojan horse full of 3 hidden dangers: sky-high salt, sly potassium swaps, and compounds that line the can that experts still dispute over. And to make things worse, there's a chance of botulism. It may turn your sick day soup into a lethal bet. Let's begin with the danger that no one can perceive. Food experts describe canned soups like chicken noodle, cream of mushroom, and beef stew low-acid foods. That means the plant has to use the right amount of heat, time, and pressure to clean them. If the process goes wrong even a little bit, Clostridium botulism spores can live. It becomes an incubator after the can is shut. And here's the terrifying truth: you won't be able to smell it, taste it, or see it. That's why health organizations keep saying the same thing. Don't taste test a can that is bulging, leaking, or spurting liquid. Don't try to cook it longer. You toss it out, sealed. Because one bite could kill you. Now let's speak about the sodium hit, which is the danger that's right in front of you. There are about 480 milligrams of sodium in a half cup of condensed tomato soup. But who only drinks half a cup? Most of us fill a whole bowl, which is more than 1,000 milligrams in one sitting. If you're trying to keep your blood pressure in check, that's almost a whole day's worth of sodium. And it gets worse. Chicken noodle and veggie beef might have as much as 600 to 900 milligrams of sodium per dish. You are now in dangerous ground. If you add crackers, bread, or a sandwich on the side, versions with less salt. Don't be tricked. According to the law, reduced sodium means 25% less than the original. The healthier variant still includes about 675 milligrams, even if the standard can contain 900. Too high. Only soups that say low sodium, 140 milligrams or less per serving. or very low sodium. 35 milligrams or less are safe to eat. Always read the small print. And here's the twist that most shoppers don't see. A lot of products quietly replace sodium with potassium chloride, which is frequently sold as potassium salt. That sounds healthy, doesn't it? Unless your kidneys can't filter potassium adequately, or you're using popular medications like ACE inhibitors or ARBs. In that situation, your blood potassium levels rise, which is a disease known as hyperkalemia. This might cause your heart to stop suddenly. The National Renal Foundation tells elderly people with chronic renal disease to steer away from potassium-based salt alternatives. But there it is, hiding in soups that say heart healthy. We still have more to do. The can itself is part of the issue. For years, soup cans were lined with epoxy that contained BPA. Europe recently lowered its acceptable daily BPA limit so much that even small amounts of it are now too high. In late 2024, the EU voted to stop using BPA in all food packaging. In the meantime, the FDA still says it's safe. And BPA-free doesn't signify safe either. Most companies just replaced BPA with similar chemicals like BPS or BPF. Different letters, yet the same impact on hormones. Additives like sugar and starch to cream soups. Phosphate stabilizers that silently stress kidneys and bones, and even undeclared allergens that keep causing recalls make that steaming bowl of comfort food look more like a skillfully hidden trap. Canned soup claims to make you feel better, bring back memories, and keep you warm. But what it usually gives you is a lot of salt, a mix of chemicals that line cans, and a risk that your body won't be able to recover from as well beyond age 50. That pleasant sound when the can opener cuts through. It might not just be dinner, it could be the sound of trouble. And if you thought soup was awful, just wait till you see what happens when sweetness goes bad. We go from savory comfort to sweet shock at number 4. Convenience might be a good thing or the beginning of a problem you never saw coming. If you want to know what's really safe in your pantry, hit subscribe right now so you never get tricked by creative labels again. Give this a like too, since more people need to hear it before they open their next can. And if the soup made you feel sick, just wait until you open a can of chili. The one hearty shortcut that can hit you harder than you expect. Canned chili comes in at number 4. It appears safe on the outside. Beans, pork, and spices make a meal that is ready in minutes. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Canned chili is one of the most dangerous things you can buy. This is why. Chili is in the low-acid part of canning science. That means companies have to blast it with heat and pressure at 240 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit to keep Clostridium botulinum spores from waking up. It's safe when the process is done appropriately. But what if it slips? That can turn into a ticking time bomb for botulism, and you'll never see it coming, smell it or taste it. That's not simply a theory. A commercial chili sauce manufacturer didn't prepare its batches well enough in 2007. What happened? There was a nationwide recall, people had to go to the hospital, and some of the most well-known cases of foodborne botulism in U.S. history. The CDC was very clear: insufficient thermal processing, an industrial shortcut that cost actual people their lives. And for elderly people who shop, the risks go beyond botulism. There are salt bombs, potassium swaps, phosphate additions, and BPA-coated cans all over the chili aisle. Each one by itself is murky. Together, you are practically eating a chemical experiment that looks like dinner. Let's begin with salt. A cup of canned chili with beans has about 1,000 milligrams of salt. If you eat the full can, like a lot of people do, you'll get about half of your daily limit in one meal. Adults with high blood pressure should not take more than 1,500 milligrams, according to the American Heart Association. Count it up. You already went over the halfway point with only one bowl of chili, and you haven't even opened a drink or buttered a piece of bread yet. And then the sly trade happens. When you turn over the lower sodium version, you will typically see potassium chloride, which has been renamed potassium salt. That sounds healthy.